What does the economic freedom fighters think is the rationale behind President Jacob Zuma's cabinet reshuffle? Why is the EFF saying the redeployment of David Mahlobo is aimed at securing the nuclear deal? Why is the EFF adamant that the National Prosecuting Authority should charge President Jacob Zuma? And why did the EFF resolve to boycott the Democratic Alliance-led councils from time to time? What time is it? It's question time. Good afternoon. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Simpiwe Ngongwana, standing in for Mpotsedu. Now, this has been quite an eventful week, particularly on the political front. First, it was the Supreme Court of Appeal's ruling in relation to the reinstatement of the corruption charges against President Jacob Zuma on Friday. And then 4 days later, President Zuma made his 11th cabinet reshuffle yesterday. While the opposition parties criticized these changes, the economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema says the reshuffle was a cunning move by the president to consolidate the forces of corruption and state capture. The EFF leader also said the redeployment of a former Intelligence Minister David Mahlobo was meant to secure the nuclear deal. Tonight, Question Time unpacks the SCA's ruling on the 783 charges against the president, as well as his latest cabinet reshuffle, with an EFF official and a political analyst. We are live, therefore you can call us and air your views on the following numbers right on your screens right now. It's 089 110 4210, or the international number is +27 89 110 4210. Or tweet us your comments. Our Twitter handle is @QuestionTime24. All right, my guests today are Thapelo Tsilapedi, a political analyst, and joining us from our Parliament studio in Cape Town is Hlengyo Mkhaliphi, the Deputy Secretary General of the Economic Freedom Fighters. A very good afternoon to you too. Thank you so much for joining us, especially warm welcome to you, Hlengyo, in Cape Town.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the viewers at home.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm going to start with you. What does the EFF think is the rationale behind President Jacob Zuma's latest cabinet reshuffle?
No, we are saying as economic freedom fighters, this reshuffle is nothing else but just to tap into the nuclear deal. You'll remember that Babaka Duduzane, who is the currently president of South Africa, have been trying to get this nuclear deal to kick off. You remember very well that when he sacked Nhlanhla Nene as a minister, it was because Nhlanhla Nene made it very clear that this deal is going to cost South Africa a lot. So when he tried to appoint the weekend special minister, it was just for a mere fact that he wanted that weekend special minister to sign that nuclear deal as a finance minister. So finally, he appointed Malusi Gigaba, who is a Gupta puppet, who is going to listen to him on everything. So he wanted to have a Minister of Energy who is going to sign that nuclear deal. So you remember very well that when he put Minister Kubai was very slow, and then she thought that no, let me just appoint my puppet, who is now Minister Mahlobo. It's all about nuclear deal, there's nothing more.
Now, Hlengyo, you will agree with me that what you're telling me right now is just a matter of mere speculation. Does the EFF have documentary evidence to back this up?
Listen, Spiwe, we know very well the role of Mahlobo in Babaka Duduzane's cabinet. He is a person who does not question anything that Zuma is telling him, right? And we are now sitting with something that it says that Mahlobo will sign that nuclear deal at any moment. And as I am speaking to you, we won't be surprised if we can wake up tomorrow and learn that he has signed that nuclear deal. Because even if you can ask anyone, even the analyst there will agree with me that there's nothing. You remember very well when the Western Cape Court said that the processes must be tested in Parliament. So Zuma is continuing without testing those processes in Parliament. And then we are saying that now we want to see if Zuma is going to make this puppet to sign this thing. We are watching him.
Anyway, let me perhaps repeat my question. Does the EFF have documentary evidence to back up your claims? Because the president hasn't been, or the presidency hasn't been so forthcoming on the recent state of current affairs.
But look, Spiwe, document is neither there or there. The issue here is that why is changing ministers like he's changing his T-shirt if it's not about nuclear deal? Look, do you remember very well when Nhlanhla Nene, as a Minister of Finance, and when Pravin Gordhan, as a Minister of Finance, said very clear that we don't need this nuclear deal at all. Remember that Babagatu Duzane have went already to Russia to promise the Russians that the nuclear deal went on. So what documents do you want us to prove, to produce regarding this matter? Because we know what this is an outstanding matter, and he does not even sleep at night. He will sleep at night after this deal has been passed.
All right. Now, Tapela, how would you respond to that? What's your reaction to the latest cabinet reshuffle?
Look, I think you have to look at it in different ways. It's not just, obviously, I'll come back to what you were saying regarding that Department of Energy. But there's also obviously the issue of, the Department of Higher Education, when you can't have a situation in the department where an official who's appointed by a president in cabinet then speaks out against the president and then still expects that nothing will happen to him. It's like effectively speaking out against your boss and not expecting to be fired. I think that's the outcome of that process. Obviously, there's also been a lot of dissatisfactions with regards to the relationship between the president and the SACP. So we also see that element. But on the issue of Department of Energy, look, I think we have to take it back. Last year, during the elections of local government, there was obviously talk around, the SG of the ANC effectively bargaining with the EFF that actually we are able to do 1, 2, and 3 for you if part of your demands to the ANC is that you can recall this issue of the energy deal that Zuma seems to have been pushing. So there are those inside the ANC who believe that part of obviously the machinations around the cabinet reshuffle is precisely around to consolidate the agreement that the president may have signed or have agreed to in word, that he will be able to, that the Russians would be able to help him with that nuclear deal. Right. We are certainly waiting to see what's going to happen. And I think what was interesting is, again, the Western Cape High Court judgment that spoke around this, effectively saying that the processes around the nuclear deal have been invalid. And so the department has had to go back to the drawing board as to how they're then going to relate with the issue around the nuclear deal. But lastly, we've also seen how the government broadly has been shifting around the nuclear deal. At one point, it went to ESCOM in terms of the line function. It has gone to ESCOM. It has gone to the department.
Do hold your thought there, Tapela. We'll delve deeper into that issue. Now, a reminder that you can call us and air your views. The number to dial is 089 110 4210. We've got Mxolisi on the line from Johannesburg. A very good afternoon to you, Mxolisi. Mxolisi from Johannesburg, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yes, Baba, talk to me. What's on your mind?
Mina engicabangayo nengibonayo nje ukuthi uJacob Zuma akafuni ukuphuma esikhundleni. The reason is because ubalekela ijele, and manje wenza sure ukuthi ufuna ukufaka umama weingane zakhe esikhundleni ukuze phela angezukuboshwa, ngoba phela akekho umntwana ongavuma ukuthi uma wakhe abophisa ubaba wakhe. So nje lento eyenzakalayo kube nje kuya ngathi abantu bala eSouth Africa ngabe sike sihlale nje i-tax singayikhokhi, ngoba imali yethu ye-tax iyakwaZuma, and uyabona futhi nokuthi uma ehla esikhundleni ila khona ayoyibona ukuthi yena nefamily yakhe bayoceba kakhulu.
All right, Mxolisi, thank you so much for your call. Now, Hlengiwe, back to you in Cape Town. Our caller, Mxolisi, says President Jacob Zuma is doing whatever he does solely to benefit his family and his close allies. Now, why is the EFF saying or adamant that, the National Prosecution Authority should charge President Jacob Zuma?
Yes, President Babagati Tuzani, President Zuma must be charged. You remember he has been avoiding to go to jail for a long time until the DA have win those things in court. So now he has been trying to avoid to go and face music, but now the time is relevant. He must go and face those 783 charges. So we are waiting for the NPA to tell us when they are going to charge Jacob Zuma, because we believe that he is a criminal of note. So he remains a criminal suspect. So he is not above the law. So he must go to the court like anyone, any South African who is a suspect, to go and face those criminal charges in court.
All right, and the EFF also says, now back to the issue of the cabinet reshuffle, the EFF says the reshuffle was a cunning move to consolidate President Jacob Zuma's forces of corruption and state capture. What does the party mean by that?
Yes, it's exactly confirmed that, you know, this reshuffling, we are believing that as the EFF is just the beginning of the reshuffle. So the other reshuffle is still coming, because the Mamagati Tuzani, who is Nkosazana Zuma, she is a member of parliament now, but she's not going to be just an ordinary member of parliament. So she needs to go to occupy some positions here. So by not putting her in any position as a cabinet minister is still coming. The President, the Commander-in-Chief, also elaborated yesterday by saying that it's just a PR exercise. It will happen before the conference, or it will happen after the ANC conference. But where they are going with this reshuffling is to get a position of Mamagati Tuzani, to occupy a position, because they want her to become the president of this country. So when Mamagati Tuzani is elected as the president of South Africa after the ANC December conference, definitely sure she will continue where her husband have left off, to capture the state, to loot the state, to benefit Zuma's friend, to benefit Zuma's family. Is not going to end. That's why Zuma is so disparate in such a way that he wants to put her, nothing else.
All right. Now, Tapelo, we are still reeling from the recent technical recession. Now, the Finance Minister, Malusi Gigaba, just returned from the United States to meet with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to quell the political fears of political instability, I beg your pardon, ahead of the ANC's elective conference in December. Now, but after yesterday's reshuffle, with so much damage control to be effected to appease the markets, Malusi Gigaba's trip to the United States has been anything but an exercise in futility.
Look, I think we are definitely a point where, you know, state institutions are not performing to the sort of way they're supposed to be performing. Certainly, in that context, we can then talk about state capture, and I think that's obviously a problem. And again, the second problem, you know, is this: the last reshuffle that we found was around March, early in the year, and then we have again this reshuffle. So it does bring in questions of political instability, and I think we're going to see that again. Whether a minister goes to the IMF or WTO or whatever sort of international platforms he has to quell, the sentiments of investors, I think we are going to have this for a long time. And my biggest fear, I think, is that given that there is almost a not taking seriously one organizational processes within inside the ANC, but also not considering the need for stability of government by the president, it's quite clear that we are going to see a lot of problems again post the elective conference of the ANC, given again how the outcome of those elective conference is going to be held. All right, we've got Lindani from the Eastern Cape. A very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Talk to me. What's on your mind?
Fine, thanks, sir. This cabinet reshuffle, it was all about disciplining the Monday, showing the Monday who's the boss. Because the Monday was once in the corner of the president. He was that big supporter of the president. He never saw anything about the president wrong about the president. But now that the Monday has changed, he's criticizing the state capture and everything. That's why Zuma now is acting, is showing. I think even his masters, the Guptas, told him to act because now the Monday has changed. And secondly, it was also about the deal, the nuclear deal. Zuma has already made the promise to the Russians, to Vladimir Putin, that he was going to go ahead with the deal. Now those Russians are quite restless because now it's taking too long. That's why he did what he did. To put Mahlobo in that department, he knows it. Mahlobo is his puppet. He is realist. He will do as he wish. He will sign off that deal. And Zuma, the more the ANC keeps Zuma in power, the more Zuma will damage everything. As soon as CR17 is elected in December, he must recall Zuma. Thank you.
All right, Lindani from the Eastern Cape, thank you so much for your call. Now, David Mahlobo's name features quite prominently in the nuclear deal, and he's been said to have traveled with the president on numerous times to Russia on unexplained visits.
Yeah. Look, I think Mahlobo has been one of the ministers that has been in cabinet for some time now, at least when you compare the sort of shuffles that have happened in the past few years. So he's one of those that clearly is trusted by the president. So it does say and does speak volumes with him moving from then intelligence, going back to the department, or rather going to the Department of Energy. So we're obviously likely to expect that he is going to do to an extent the bidding of the president. And we're going to see then, I think, part of the questions that you had asked around the issues of evidence, or, is he there to consolidate the deal that South Africa, through the president, had done with the Russians. So I think there is merit to that speculation as well. And it would be a pity, obviously, that we would wait until the evidence has come. But let's see how things work out. But that should be, I think, the expectations of ordinary South Africans.
All right. Now, flying back to you in Cape Town, are you perhaps questioning the president's constitutional prerogative to hire and fire cabinet ministers?
No, we don't have a problem of his prerogative as a president, but we want to protect the country because he has been taking wrong decisions since ever he became the president of the republic. And we are going to continue to question his decisions, especially if it is also going to put this country down to the drain. We are saying as EFF, we are not going to allow him to take such decisions because it's costing South Africans, and we want to protect this country. We don't want to see our country to go down to the drain as in Africa. Africa is bleeding of corruption of such leaders such as him. So that's why we are going to be very hard on him. Whenever we have a chance to fight him, we are going to fight with him. So that's why we are calling to all South Africans also just to join EFF in questioning President, in fighting President Zuma, because it's not about EFF, but it's about the country. And all South Africans must protect this country under him.
All right. Now, Tapelo, history has proven that nothing positive comes out of cabinet reshuffles, and the stock market economy being one of the worst affected. Now, is the president conscious of this fact? And if so, having proceeded with cabinet reshuffles, nevertheless, does it show that he's actually a man with national interests at heart?
Look, how I can answer that question, I think, I'm not quite sure if there's consideration of political economy issues when the shuffles happen. But I think the calculative logic around the shuffles has been about the internal dynamics of the ANC. I think those have been calculative in that regard. And I think there has been not too much of how does this decision impact on the markets. But obviously, having said that, I think it's also important to understand that the markets are not just obviously impacted by political decisions of the state or government. Markets are also, in fact, impacted by decisions taken by CEOs and so on and so forth. So that's important, I think, to grapple with, particularly how those corporate South Africa also relates to the state or government. But yeah, I think that's how we can go about answering that question.
All right. And now we go to Potchefstroom, and Zame is on the line. A very good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Great chatting to you. Thank you so much for calling. What's on your mind?
Sir, I want to take part in this debate.
Yeah. Be my guest.
Yeah, I have what I can say in all of these the challenges that we are facing now as a country. We have a problem with leadership. That's all what I can say. Because what happens when they have to take decisions, most times our leaders are so indecisive, you see. They don't take every, problems that our country is facing so seriously. They only think about themselves. And then what happens, like, when a leader is selected maybe to lead our country, everyone is supporting that leader in aiming to achieve whatever is the aim of the country. Then when the term is about to end now, all of a sudden everyone changes now, like coming up like as having a clean slate, favoring the next one. Then if we may say, for instance, try to do the right thing by saying, like, as a country, our leaders give our people maybe, although we are having democracy, like if there's a question about our constitution, nuclear deals and stuff, we use things like referendums. People are engaged generally, not on party lines, in general, like a census of some sort. Then I think we may find a solution to most of our issues, you see.
All right, Nzame from Potchefstroom, thank you so much for your call. We appreciate it. Now, Hleng, we're back to you in Cape Town. Now, our caller is saying that we have a leadership crisis in South Africa. And can the EFF perhaps take a little bit of responsibility as a result of that leadership crisis? Because it is common knowledge that the EFF, in particular Julius Malema, supported President Zuma, leading to Polokwane.
No. President of EFF was in the ANC Youth League by that time. So now we have an EFF as a political organization that was established in 2013. So we don't have anything to do with Zuma. And if we have to take that debate backwards to say that he supported this current president, he has been on record on many times to say that he is apologizing to the nation. So hence the formation of EFF was to correct what is happening in the country. I agree with a person who is saying there is a leadership crisis. Yes, we are in this mess because there is no leadership in the ANC. Even in the ANC, there are factions who are very interested on who is becoming the president, who's going to become the next president instead of taking the country forward. But I think that South Africans must thank EFF because since the inception of the EFF, we have been raising issues, we've been warning South Africans about this crisis. That's where South Africans now are beginning to realize that EFF have raised some issues that are very true in the society. So they must appreciate the inception of EFF, and we are saying we are still going to continue to fight for the South African and to fight with this corruption which is led by the ANC.
What then would be the EFF's recourse should the NPA decide not to charge President Jacob Zuma?
Well, we are still going to check how far is the NPA is willing to recharge Zuma. If they are quiet, which we do suspect that Sean Abraham, because he's an appointee of Zuma, he's not going to move. So we are going to fight with them. We are going to ask them why they are quiet, why they are not acting, because the court have pronounced on the issue. They are very clear, and then they must explain to the nation why they are not charging Zuma. We are going to fight as we always do.
Can a sitting president then stand trial? Do you think South Africa is ready for the repercussions of having a sitting president stand trial? Do we have a precedence of having a sitting president being tried?
But he is not above the law. He has been saying in many occasions that he wants his day in court. He even said he's not afraid of a jail. He was jailed in 10 years during the apartheid. So now he is a suspect of 783 charges. So whether he's a president or is what, if a person, he is a suspect, he must go to a court of law like every South African. South Africa is ready because they have even said that Zuma is not even a material to be the president, but he's a criminal of note. So he must just go to court, and then he must face those court charges.
All right, we go to the Western Cape now, and Mzwandile is on the line. A very good afternoon to you, Mzwandile.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? What's in your mind?
Fine, thank you, sir. I would like to say, sir, to the entire nation that we are facing a predicament. You know, the ANC has no guts to stand and defend our country. Now, I think the EFF is relevant in Parliament so that they will be in position of challenging each and every decision that is being taken there. Because if we are failing to do so, definitely sure there will be no future for our children. And secondly, I would like to say that the NPA it seems as if it is not impartial. I think Sean Abrams should prove himself that that institution is impartial, but by failing to do so, definitely sure Babaka Duzane will continue with his illegal dealings.
All right.
That's what I just wanted to
All right,
raise.
thank you so much for your call. I really appreciate it. Now, Hlengiwe, what's your final word?
No, we are saying that as the FF will continue to challenge Zuma, and we are going to continue to tell South Africans that they must just come out in numbers and fight for their country, because if they are folding their hands, this country is going down to the drain, and their children, they will be questioning them, what did you do when the country was being led by a criminal of note? So we are calling to all South Africans to join hands with the FF. When we raise issues, they must come and join us, and then we fight, and definitely we are going to win this war.
Hlengiwe Mkhaliphi, the Deputy Secretary General of EFF, thank you so much for your time. Great chatting to you this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Piwe.
All right. Now, Tapelo, as a final word.
Look, I think we're in for a very difficult period in the country. I think the ANC is also in, for a difficult period. And I think what's important is to see what will be the outcome of the electoral conference, because I think that's going to determine a lot of things, particularly in terms of how the state or government will then operate post 2017.
All right. Tapelo, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming through. Well, that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and for you at home for watching. Thank you so much again. Till next time then, goodbye from Johannesburg.